Good morning to all of you. Today I will be discussing with you on management, especially the evolution of management. Management evolved over a long period of time, and it has evolved because man wanted to have management. It happened in the early years of the 17th century that management started taking shape, because the industrial revolution which happened in London provided a lot of jobs. People started going for work, and people had various demands also. When the demand increased, then the management was a necessity. Similarly, another thing was there was a lot of products which have been manufactured, and the manufactured products had to come to the market. So naturally, the process of management started off. So when workers and products were there, we started thinking of management, and man has started the process of creating management for managing the different problems which arose in the during the industrial revolution. Let us look at some of the theories of management. For example, the first theory, which is called as a classical theory, has emerged from a person called as Frederick Taylor. Now, Taylor was basically an engineer. He was working in a US company manufacturing steel. And Taylor found that when people came for working, they performed work according to their own preferences. For example, the physical size of the people varied, the type of implements that they used varied, and the way in which they performed the work also varied. So he came out to standardize those things. The first thing was he went into taking people or recruiting people who had a certain physical standard. So he created actually a standardization in recruitment. The second one, he decided that the implements which people used should be of the same type, or in other words, there was a standardization of the equipment or the implements which were used performing work. And the third one was that he said that there should be definite training. The movements which people did should be uniform. And when he performed this experiment, there was a drastic increase in production. So that was the first one, and which was called as classical management. Now there was a problem with this. When the production increased, naturally the product increased, naturally there should be buyers for it. So there started off the marketing management also. So the products have to be sold. So when the products were sold, naturally the profits grew up. When the profits grew up, the management was not willing to share to everyone. So naturally what happened was the people went in for strike, they were protest. And when they went in for protest, management resorted to changing across to the demands of the people. And thus we find that management became the model of management became more of paternal, caring for people. At the same time, there were other theories also happening. And another classical theory, which is called as the theory of administration, was proposed by another person called Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol was proposed theory was similar to that of Frederick Taylor's, but there were certain changes. For example, in the case of Frederick Taylor gave more importance to managers. He said that managers are the people who are responsible for doing the work, getting the work done, as well as planning the work also. So he had an hierarchy. He had managers, supervisors, and workers. The workers would do their work, the supervisor would see to it that it is implemented, and you would find the managers planning the entire work. But here, managers ruled supreme, and that was one of the reasons why there were a lot of abuses which are happening from the management side and which people did not tolerate. So this led actually to strikes. So here, when Henry Fayol take it up, he decided that there should be 14-point principles that are required for managing work. Of course, I will be coming to that in detail later. However, Frederick Taylor was a little more democratic as far as the management was concerned. He laid down 14 principles, which again I would come back and tell you in detail. Now the second type of management happened. So when you would find that when the classical management, where productivity of work increased, people's demands also increased. So people were more inclined to satisfy certain other needs, and this led to the formation of something called as behavioral management. In behavioral management, which is proposed by several people including Maslow, it was said that more freedom should be given for people on other parameters rather than only the salary or the incentives provided. It was more of motivation that he focused on. It was more on satisfying the demands that people had. For example, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he said that the primary need for any human being is to have food, clothing and shelter. And once this gets satisfied, people will start looking for safety needs. And safety needs were basically insurance or maybe provident fund or pension and all those things. Now, once that got satisfied, people started looking for other needs. For example, people looked into social needs. Social needs was like getting together, having celebrations or having a party, and all those things came under your social needs. And when social needs were satisfied, people went into the next need, and that was called as self-esteem needs. Self-esteem needs are needs where people are projected as human, as more than requiring actually a honor from the management, or maybe in other ways people are respected. And once that was satisfied, people looked for self-actualization. So in behavioral management, there were other people also proposing various theories. They said that lunch breaks or maybe incentives or able to work in groups were all reasons which would motivate people to work. So from the situation of a worker, a management, where a manager to a worker, it moved on to the next level. And the next level was satisfying the needs of people. Now it did not stop with that. As organizations became bigger and bigger, organizations have had different types of departments, and the management departments also started changing. And currently you would find that management science theory which has come, or it has come up during the World War II, which talks about a rigorous analytical process through which work is being measured. Now at the same time, there was another theory also which has come up, and which was called as the system theory. Now system theory views the entire organization as a system. For example, the entire human body has got various systems, and all the systems would work together to complete the function of the human body. And that systems theory was adopted in management. Currently, we have the systems theory in practice, but need not forget what F.W. Taylor or Henry Fayol. They were all the building blocks of management. Even now, when you look at recruitment and selection, it was basically what F.W. Taylor has proposed. Or if you talk about democratization of workplace, it was basically Henry Fayol. And systems theory is much more implemented in the current context. There are various analyses that are being done, and management has evolved as more as a science. Management was considered to be an art once upon a time, but now management has come up as a science. You could actually understand the various nuances of management which are happening right now. Now, there are a lot of other methods by which you can measure this. Of course, the analytical base has gone to a still higher level. Currently, we talk about business analytics, or maybe we talk about through using internet, we use different types of analysis. All these things were evolved from this management as a science, management as a system, and the classical management, which we cannot forget the great work which has been done by F.W. Taylor and Henry Fayol. Thank you very much for being in this class. I hope you have understood how management has evolved. Thank you.